Hi everybody, and thank you for coming to this event, which is our second Academy sessions. It gives us great pleasure to, always add value to those who decide to partner with us. So obviously the last session was social media, and this session is reducing costs and maximising profits, which I think is the reason we're all in business, right? So it's fantastic that you can all make it today. We have got on the right-hand side here, we've got James Roger, who is the director and owner of Paradox Coffee Roasters, if you haven't met him before. We've got Ben Moffat, who is our Queensland Sales and Account Manager. And we have Bonnie Cullen, who is the manager of this wonderful venue. And might I add, thank you very much for letting us use your venue and showing your hospitality and imparting your knowledge this evening as well. A couple of housekeeping rules. If you do want any beverages, obviously we've got Lacey and Keely in the corner. House beers, wines, things like that. If you need to go to the bathroom, over in the far wall to the left. If there's a fire, run out that door. And apart from that, we should be all set to go. Beautiful. Click a man if you want to click. Oh, there we go. Yeah. Great to have you here, as I already said. If you haven't tested it already, we have just released our Easter blend. As you may know, for every major event, we like to release a limited edition coffee. Unique coffees. This one here is an Omni Roast, meaning it's perfect for filter, and it's also great for espresso as well. If you'd like to try that today, the wonderful Karen Silva has done up a batch brew and has also prepared the espresso machine ready to go. So if you'd like to taste this, please inquire. It's actually a fantastic and phenomenal coffee. So without further ado, let's get started.
Awesome. Thank you, James. Welcome, everyone. James sort of said that we're in for reducing costs and making more profit, but when I hear the stories of what people do in hospitality, we were chatting before, actually we're in this business because we actually love serving people. Because I can tell you now, we wouldn't be in this business if we didn't love them. Because it is hard. We work damn hard, we work long hours, and we invest in people every single day. No matter what's going on at home, we're smiling, we're loving on people, we're caring. And that's the business we're in, right? And after that, what we'd like is a little bit of money, and that's fair, right? It's totally fair. So who are we? We've already been through that. So I do want to say a special thank you to Bonnie for being here. Whoa, there we go. Real life
Just
picture.
In case you can't see me.
So, look, a little bit, I'll let you talk on the Whiny Cow, but the Whiny Cow, we've been privileged to partner with for the last couple of years. But you can talk about the other part to the Whiny Cow, which is
an introduction to Whiny.
Please.
Yeah, we've been in Mornington Peninsula, back home in Victoria for 10 years, coming up to 11 years this year. And then we opened up here 2 years ago. Just had our second birthday, as a matter of fact, which is nice. So yeah, it's been a journey, and a good one at that, to be honest. And meeting Paradox along the way has been nothing short of a really great experience. And I'm not just saying that. We talk about that a lot. We get plenty of compliments on our coffee, and our working relationship is above and beyond. Very, very happy. Love it. Yeah.
We didn't get paid for that one.
No.
But thank you. But yeah, look, and that's the thing, right? I feel like the coffee relationship is very different to any other relationship, right? So, the milk guy,
fruit and
veg guy, they're all great people, and you work alongside, and they sell your commodity and they sell your product. But I suppose we're the ones kind of going, we really, here's our equipment, here's our investment. We really need to see that you're going to be successful, and we want to be there to make sure you are successful, right? Because it's a pure partnership, right? If you do well, we do even better, and so we want to see that people progress through the program of having cafes, because we only live and die by the growth of the cafe industry. So we want to see people go from being, that junior in school that was out the back washing dishes to managing to owning a cafe. And we truly believe that there is a career in hospitality, right? You don't have to do it whilst you're just at university. You can actually run a whole business and be your own boss which in this day and age is hard. There's much more employees than bosses, right? So, and that's a great thing. So, and that's why we say we want it to be your biggest achievement, right? Because sadly, out there, it's like, for some people, it's their biggest nightmare, right? So they kind of go, I've let down my family, I've let down, my process on this, and we don't want that. We want this to be like, I'm so happy at this, and either I ran this for, we have cafes that have been going for, 16 years, and we've got others that have been really successful for 2 and 3 and 4 years, and then they sell out, they make their profit, and then they move on to their next business, So, and the other thing I wanted to emphasize today is that nobody thanks you for a discount. So what I mean by that is, just because you're giving a discount and you feel good about it, doesn't mean that they're actually going, oh, thank you so much for doing that, right? So just be really careful. I am very aware of being commercial, but I'm also really aware in this world that because we become so attached to our customers, that we feel very wary about making an increase on price. And you do it to the death of yourself, right? To the death of your business, where I can't do it, people won't accept it. It's like, just be careful that you're not actually, maybe people are actually much more accepting of it than you think, right? And then thanks for your advice, but what I mean by that is, I am well aware that you get a person a day telling you how you should run your business. Oh, you know what you should do? I've got a great idea. Look, we're in the 1% business, right? If we can find 1% for you tonight, then, and I'll show you this later, it's worth $15,000 a year, right? If that's what we find for you, awesome. If all of it just affirms that you're running a really good cafe and you're doing a great job, congratulations to you. This is a pump up for you to say well done, Some industry stuff. Some of this is exciting that, in the industry, in the last 12 months, revenues have grown by 2.6%. In southeast Queensland, we've seen that there's now 2,500 coffee shops. That's growing, so that number is actually growing.
Couldn't find that number just for the Gold Coast.
Yeah.
I imagine it'd be up there.
It is still, I know that the Gold Coast is still growing in terms of numbers, in terms of cafes, which I was just saying to someone before, actually Gold Coast is still an incredibly hot market. Sort of Sydney and Melbourne have kind of paused a little bit, but we're sending everybody up here, so you're welcome. But this is the concerning one, is the last one. So 1,000 administrations appointed in the last 12 months, which is up 300. What that says to me, our prices are going up. Potentially we're actually making more money at a rev level, but at the bottom line, we're losing out, right? So that's scary, right? So we've got to be really careful in this environment, because we don't want to see people go into administration. That's a disaster. Understanding the numbers. So look, again, I might be talking to things you already know, but I know there'll be some fresh people I'm thinking about taking a cafe, or they work in the kitchen. So some of these things are really important to know. Fixed costs. Look, there's probably not much you can do about them, except when you actually negotiate your deal. Rent or mortgage payment if you own your property. Once it's set, right? So that's why it's so important to make sure you do your numbers properly to begin with, as well as you can. Nobody really knows what they're going to do when it's a new space. Salaries, once you appoint your team, no matter whether you have a slow day or a fast day, that's your salaries. You can't do anything about it. Insurance premiums, I'd say that's fixed, but I think there's a lot of work to be done on that. Just been looking at our insurance premiums, and I'm in negotiation to kind of see, well, what should we keep? What should we? Also, don't go underinsured. The recent cyclones will tell you don't be underinsured. And then loan payments. But the other areas which are your variables, which obviously go up and down according to what you're doing, is these are the things you want to really be thinking about on a constant basis. And there's sort of a couple of key ones in this, but all of these are manipulable. You can manipulate these, right? You can manipulate your food costs. You can somewhat manipulate your utility bills depending on how you negotiate on them. Hourly wages, you can manipulate them. It just depends on how you want to run your business. And marketing, advertising, absolutely. Maintenance, they say it's variable, but like, I live in a world where something breaks and I fix it, so it's not that variable. So, you know, it's variable up, you know, so.
I will say one thing on that maintenance and repairs thing, and I used to do this. I used to skip out on the fridge services all the time because I just think I don't want to pay the money. And then sure enough, next week, that fridge goes and I've got to call someone out on a Sunday and it cost me 5 times what it would have cost me. What it would have cost me if I just had them on a regular servicing schedule. I definitely learnt that one the hard way.
Yeah. Well, as coffee roasters, we do not miss PM services because we know what happens. Yeah. And that's not only for ourselves, it's for you guys. Like, we're responsible for your business, right? So it's like, these guys are going to talk about other things on this, but you know, I just said before, you know, what does 1% represent? So on a business doing about 24,000 a week, 1% represents about $15,000 a year. I'm pretty cool with an extra 15 grand personally. So, and I reckon in any business, I know in our cafe, I can definitely fight for a couple of percent constantly. And be that cost of goods pulled out to 31% and I want to get it back down to 29, there's 2% in there, right? So, and look, I hope that you guys don't fall into any of these, but if you do, it's kind of like, this is maybe that wake up call to say, you know, 50% of cafe owners don't accurately know their business numbers. And I'm not trying to be antagonistic with that, but we all do it, right? We look at our P&L 1 month and then 3 months go by and we haven't analysed it enough. And then all of a sudden we find that a percentage is gone because we weren't paying it big enough attention, right? And then 80% of cafe owners don't review cost of goods and wages on a monthly basis. They're your 2 biggest things. If you're not constantly reviewing them, I can guarantee you'll blow 30 grand a year like that.
We do our COGS and like P&Ls weekly. You're
really dedicated.
We run off like 13 periods in a year, and every period's 4-week cycles. And so every week, Cam will email his front of house managers and head chefs, like all of our COGS. So what our percentage of food and beverage is and what our wages come in at. And I think that's important because it also, it makes them accountable as well as they know where they're at. Obviously the first week of the period, they're well aware that they have that leverage to maybe spend that little bit more. And then they'll see, oh gee, like, because overall food and beverage combined, we aim for 28%. And so if it jumps above that, which it more often, it does always on the first week, because they're like, yeah, we can get this, and we'll be in the red to then have the next 3 weeks to bring it down, and then we gauge it, the whole period is over 4 weeks. And I find that a great philosophy, the fact that they share that information with their management, because it's in black and white. So for them to read that and understand, not just go, oh, can you not spend so much? You spend a lot this week. It's like, well, what, how, why? Like, where's the figures? When you can see the like percentages in front of you, it gives you guideline and accountability.
And then at the end of the month, everything's going to come in with you.
Budget. Yeah. And then you've got the 4 weeks to bring it back in. And then answer as to, you know, congratulations if you've come in, and if not, why? And how can we work on it? You know, like, to some people it takes a little bit of time because they don't run with people that give those figures to them. A lot of business owners in my work history haven't always done that, and I personally give them that knowledge because it's only going to help your business, like with your net profit at the end of the day. So that was just
good. Yeah, and I think this one always concerns me, you know, that owners, a lot of the time their salaries are less than the managers running their business, right? And then you're making less than 8% and you're working 50 hours. And I'm like, okay, that's not right. It's okay to take a lower salary, as provided your percentages are good on nets, right? Because you've got to take something home to your family. You've got to feed, you know, we've all got, you know, families or kids, or even for yourself, right? So I'm just being cheeky here, but 100% of chefs forget to add GST when working out cost of goods. It's absolutely true. So, sorry for any chefs. But the number of conversations I have, I'm like, oh, that's awesome. That's really good numbers. I'm like, you had the GST? No, I forgot about that. It's even worse when you printed the menus. So. Yeah.
But you get the GST back anyway, no?
Well, you get it back, but you've lost. But if you should have priced it that structure, like you think, if you're working your percentage on that, you've lost that percentage. You know.
To go the other way, when I've had conversations with chefs in the past, and I'll say, can you please cost the menu for me? And they do it, but they're costing that on, let's say, it's a burger for $20. They're costing it off $20. It's not. You should be costing that off 18. He forgot to take. Yeah, he forgot to take the GST off. So you got to work backwards from 18.
Yeah.
Because when he costs it off 20.
Out of the P&L, when you take it out of the P&L, that's all GST.
Yeah, whenever you look at the P&L from your account, it's GST free. But obviously, some staff don't always know that or see that because they don't always see P&Ls. But it's important to get that home that you've got to work backwards from there, not have that included. And same with your wages. The managers might ring their till off at the end of the week and go, oh great, it was within budget, but if the takings were $10,000 for the week, it wasn't 10, it was 9.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Always excluding GST.
Yeah, always.
Yeah, because it's not, that's not going in your pocket.
It's
Yeah,
you've got to pay it.
Right.
The government will come knocking. Yeah.
Monopoly money.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's okay when you kind of, like we ran an equipment business, that's okay. You can kind of go, I put GST on, I take GST off. That's fine to do it that way. But yeah, when it works with menus, you've got to be just conscious of what percentage you're rolling with. And then, Karen's very good at this one in terms of actually working out what is the cost of a product and actually keeping to that structure. I think you guys do that a lot as well in terms of making sure what you're making is the portions that you're using, right?
That's where our menu costing. Yeah, we've got like an executive chef that oversees, he's the head chef in Mornington, but he oversees both venues as far as our menu structure, and that his costings need to be done like with the costing calculator every 3 months. To make sure, because obviously prices fluctuate, to see that our menus are in check, and because we do menu changes every 6 months, obviously it keeps it innovative, but also to make sure that we've got, we're not using, in summertime, your fruit that's in more season, and then it's more expensive going out of that, so we'll change the menu to make sure we're fitting in that accordingly.
Yeah, totally. Look, the one that I would love for it to be better, so that we, that all of these percentages are improved, is obviously revenue, right? What you do have to be careful when we talk about cost cutting is, where do you want to stop that cost cutting? You can always cut something to the bone, right? But you get to the point where your business will be hindering because of lack of staff, poor quality product. You have to be very careful on that. But we have to get the other percentages right, and then obviously on rent, we've got to be really careful at the beginning to be very mindful of what we think the business can do, right? Because you're better off going, I think it's going to do 25,000. You know what? I'm going to model on 20. You're better off doing that because at least you go, can I survive in this environment? So let's have a look at a couple of. This is what the industry thinks that we should all be doing.
Yeah.
Thank you, industry.
I'm sure you've all had. You had accountants.
I like that you laugh.
Accountants would tell you this because this is what they were told at university, but I don't think they've ever done it.
So I think in terms of, so this is based on about 20, I think it's 24 or 25,000, 25 now. So cost of goods, 30% should absolutely be possible. It's a bit tough with where food costs have gone. On drink products should be even higher, and we'll talk to that. Not stuff that you pre-buy in, but those stuff that you make. Wages, I do know some people that are cracking the 33, but it's tough. They reckon 10%. I reckon that's too high, to be honest. If you're playing at a higher than 10%, unless other percentages are lower, it becomes very, very difficult. Other expenses and then depreciation, round about those. And then obviously with that, we'll get you 15%. 15% is a great number for a cafe. I do know the odd one that getting as high as 20%, but there's not many. There is, most people probably pay more in the realistic realm around here. So Cost of goods, I think you've got to strive to get it under that 30% mark because you just need that percentage without losing quality and then without jacking your price to a point where people go, that's crazy. You know, so wages, look, even once you add super in there, I reckon 37% sometimes can be very difficult. Rent, I think you've got to be trying to get that 8% or lower, and that's just part of when you look at where you're going into to try and work out what that's going to be.
And also remember that your rent compounding interest, not simple interest. And I am very guilty when I opened my first venue. I did not understand compounding interest. I went, 4% a year, sweet. I just worked it out off what I was paying the first year. It's like, it only goes up by like, I can't remember, a couple of thousand a year. And I was like, that's fine, I can wear that.
Then it goes off.
But it goes up on the next one and then up on the next one. By the time you get to year 10, it's a lot of money. So if you're paying, above 4% increases annually, it compounds a lot. Yeah. And you've got to think, how much can I keep growing my revenue to keep that within that 8%? Yeah. And I'm very guilty of making that mistake. Yeah.
I think 12% is a great percentage, personally. Like, I think if you're playing at 12% outcome on a net level, that's good. I think that's a really sustainable position. I think even 10% is okay. It's kind of a bit frustrating at the lower rev levels because you're just not quite making enough for it to feel like that's going to fund my lifestyle family. But like, that's where you got to kind of really look at these percentages. The break-even cafe, and these could be any way, right? Like, I actually think this one here could be even much higher, right? Like, we reviewed cafes and they're playing at like 55%, even higher. But yeah, ones where you can really push hard, like letting your cost of goods blow out to 32. My question is, what's happening in the kitchen? What's happening with your product? Or what's happening with your pricing? You got to get them right, and you got to get that 2% back because you deserve it, right? So rent, I mean, look, it does happen. I mean, I've had, there's businesses that have run at 15% that are in Westfields that are fine, but that's because their revs are really high, or they're running, a 3-person concept, so their wages are running at like 25%. But if you're running a full kitchen and you're running a full front of house, so let's say at least 4 front, 2 to 3 back, that wage cost is going to be high, so that rent has to be, you've got to be really careful. So, and there's no point me telling this to you if you already own your cafe, just like, if your percentage is high, you're like, shut up. So, so I get it, but, when you're thinking about it going forward.
So this formula, and if you already know this, I'm not trying to tell everyone how to suck eggs here, but I use this formula constantly. If you're trying to work out at the end of the week, if you're tracking it weekly or monthly, just what your percentage was for that month, this is just the formula to do it. It's pretty basic, but I am just constantly reviewing that and constantly plugging that into my calculator for looking at wages for the week, looking at cost of goods for the week, and just running it all the time. And it's important for staff, I feel like, to know this as well, if they're just or the person who's writing the roster, because it's not always the owner. Just to sort of have a look back at that and go, okay, well, last week we turned over this much money, we paid this much out in wages, can I cut a few people, a half hour here or there, just to try and claw back that 1%, because that 1% at the end of the year is huge.
You wouldn't be a coffee event if we didn't talk a little bit about coffee. So probably a lot of you or hopefully our team have kind of come around and talked about the breakdown of your cost per cup, right? And talked about, okay, the way that we break down coffee is that we'll go, okay, well, what's the size? What's the grammage that's going in per cup? What's the cost of coffee in that structure? What's the milk volume? What's the cost of milk? What's the cup price? What's the lid price? And what's your outcome, right? The goal industry-wise is for you to be at 73% or better as a margin. I would say you want to try and push more towards the 80% as much as you can, simply because as markets get tougher, people buy less food, and so you have to rely more on your drinks products. i.e. your legal addictive product being coffee, and you want to get those sort of percentages up to where they need to. So one of the reasons for this as well, so back in 2018, your wages percentage that was making up 47% was going towards chefs and 30% was going towards baristas. It's a little bit old now, but 2021, 44% was going towards baristas and 40% towards chefs. And that is the reason, is because we are putting more into our coffee concepts. We're now selling, the percentage of sales on drinks versus food is equalising. Whereas in cafes in the past, it was like, you were running at 60-70% food and less on drinks. So not in all concepts, but that is, and also baristas are costing more. So we want to do better quality, the price is going up.
And back onto that calculator, if I haven't been through that with anyone, apologies, but yeah, feel free to shout out, happy to call it the next week or two, or Karen, and we can plug your prices in very quickly, and it very quickly spits out at the end what margin you're making. And you'll be surprised where you lose margin is on your 16 ounces if you're not charging enough. That's where it always comes out.
So look, it's always easy for people to say, hey, you should put your price up, and you'll make more money. I get it. And then you have to look at your environment and go, well, who's around me and what price they're selling at. And by the way, that's the other thing our team is happy to do. They'll collect the competitive information. Sometimes we're so busy in our cafe, and I've been subject to this as well, that I didn't even realise what my competitor was selling coffee at, because I was just like, I don't know, what are they selling at next door? And so we'd be like, what's $5 and you're doing $4.50? That doesn't make any sense. Why am I doing that? Yeah. And you think to yourself, but more customers must be coming to me because I'm doing it. I really think that's the reason. Honestly, I really don't. I really don't think in this day and age of tap and go that people are thinking about it very much.
And then go somewhere for better coffee than cheaper coffee.
And for friendly service.
Yep.
Service
Yep.
is just always.
So we're living in a market that coffee is radically transforming, both because your individual costs in your business are going up, so you're needing to improve that price or increase that price, and because the C price has gone through the roof, right? So the coffee price has gone, it was at $1.50 per pound US 18 months ago. It hit a high of $4 US pound as of the February. And even though it crashed this week with my mate Trump, farmers have now decided they'll keep their differentials up. So actually prices are remaining high because farmers don't want to reduce their pricing structures. So it's a very, very there's turmoil in the market. But the only thing you need to focus on is making sure you're covering your costs in your business, right? So, and especially if food costs have gone down, these prices, by the way, are already in Melbourne. They're already in Melbourne. Sydney's being stubborn a little bit, but it's starting to transfer over. And I would say actually Gold Coast is actually usually more expensive than, I've always found the cup prices higher up here. So, so think about what you want to do with that.
Because that's what it will equivalent to between you charging this price and this price on a cafe doing 30 kilos a week, average. That's how much extra a year will go in your pocket. Now, Christina and Jordan, feel free to share this information because I sort of already know what your prices are. Can you just...
what price we were at, and we're disagreeing. I said
Where-
our 16 ounces is 7, he reckons our 12 ounces is 690, so that's just the discussion we were having.
690. Yeah, I think it is because obviously, and hats off to you guys, you maintain that pricing and you don't seem to have a problem selling coffee. But
We've had like a few people here and there say we're above the mark, which we're clearly not. That's kind of the discussion there. But like we have service, we have quality.
yeah, exactly.
And that's why I think majority, like I'm saying 98%, like
Yeah, that's right.
this average people.
Yeah, no, I get that, but yeah, I would say Hidden Gem would definitely be up there in terms of the pricing on the higher side. Not definitely crazy, but they're on the higher end. of it, and you do 50 kilos of coffee a week every single week without blinking an eye. So that's the thing, proof that you can be on that higher side and still maintain that customer base. So yeah.
I mean, no one's in a harder situation here where someone's selling $1 coffee next door. Right? So it proves that, like, if you're good, people will buy the right product, right? Yeah, just internationally, by the way, we're well behind the international market. There you go.
I was just literally in Japan last week and I paid it was a long black and an espresso and it cost me $15.
You Aussie,
And
AU.
it was an even speciality that we kind of bought it on the home. They had the bells and whistles coffee machine and it was just like average. And that was just literally...
Compared to the US and UK, we're way behind on pricing.
And the UK as well, if you used to go to a basic kind of coffee shop, not even high-end like you guys, like it would be £4.50, which is about $9, and that's just for an average cup of coffee.
Yeah.
If you're talking specialty, you're going to be £7, £8, which is about $12.
Yeah. Yeah, there you go.
Oh, the Scotties,
Yeah.
All the people are addicted to coffee. Like, if everyone puts their prices up, but people are still going to pay.
Yeah. We did have someone down in Berry who they all got together, all the coffee shops, and said we should all put our price up. I think that's called collusion, but
it works.
I mean, look, regional towns are, like they do like to get together and have a good chat and do it, and they did it together and it worked fine. Yeah, so.
Sorry, what do you think, which it happened to me, so when we increased the price for the cafe, for the coffee, we increased it throughout the year, we increased it 3 times.
Yeah.
So I noticed that the people that were regular coming there, and they told me that, oh, just bought the coffee machine and we are not buying coffee out.
And that's always going to happen, and that's always been the case, that they're going to buy a coffee machine at home. I used to love hearing the argument that cafes don't sell retail to customers because they don't want them to then make it at home. They want them coming into their cafe and buying coffee each day. And I'm like, mate, if you don't sell it to them, they're just going to go somewhere else. You're not going to stop them. They're just going to go to Woolies. They're going to go to the cafe down the street, and then you're missing out because you've missed out on $40. No.
Make their coffee, and then they'll realise, it's not the same.
And most people,
Cleaning, servicing, they don't have the experience or want to. Yeah, it will come back, I believe. That's just people trying to rub you the wrong way. Yeah.
They definitely do.
There'd be such social experience as well. You want to go out to
That's right, yeah.
that community feel, and if you're a home barista, that's cool, but you're not going to get that environment and that kind of banter and relationship thing, the whole thing.
Yeah. Yeah, when they make it, 100%.
They never make it the same.
Yeah.
Bit of a threat.
Well, here's an experiment for you. Is so during COVID, Lamazocco Home and also Espresso Company Australia, ECA, they sold more home units than they ever had. They sold more in the space of 1 year than they did in the space of 5 years, right? That's how many machines they sold. And yet all of us sold more coffee out of our coffee shops. So, and when it opened up more, that didn't prevent the structure. So you definitely, I think the biggest struggle at the moment is that there absolutely will be people in the marketplace that are affected by cost of living. You can't deny that. What I think the hardest thing for you guys is that I think your coffee sales will probably stay the same, maybe drop a tiny bit. It's your food. It's the added thing that they're not getting, and that's the killer for you guys, is that your average ticket goes from 12 to 8 or 8 to 6, and that's what burns you. So the question is, and I look at what you guys do with boozy lunches and things like that. You guys are trying to go, obviously we need to keep them here.
Yeah.
So And you were
Yeah.
saying how successful those things
Yeah.
are for you guys, you know.
So,
Yeah, sorry. You want to talk to?
Yeah,
That's, yeah.
Yeah.
lead off with a few things you've done. This is a hard one. This is very hard.
Yeah, that's right. So these are some things that we've personally done here to save on wage costs and labour. So we've introduced the QR codes just for, I'm going to say, a year now. And that is we're Melbourne table, customer service, like it was a real nerve-wracking change for us. Number one, I will say with that, we've really firm on our training and our sequence of service on how we word that to our customers. We're definitely not like, oh, there's a QR code, like you can order from there. We train our staff in our sequence of service, from greeting people at the door, seating them down, letting them know you can order from the QR code. Otherwise, you're welcome to come to the counter and we will take your order for you. So still feel like we're serving them, which we are, but we just make sure that everybody understands the wording of that as well. And for example, just to not go on too much, but on the weekends, on a regular weekend, on a, let's say Saturday, Sunday, we used to have, we'd go 4, 5, maybe 5 staff on the floor. No, 6 probably, when we used to do sections and full table service. We're 130 seats, so we'd have 6 with someone running the pass and the other 5 in their sections. And now we run 3 or 4 both days, Saturday and Sunday, and effectively. Like that is meal checking, clearing tables, and without, that's not like, you know, anybody's like, oh my God, we're sinking at all. And that's thanks to the QR code. We've just brought in, I don't know if this might be later, and if it is, sorry, but that we've also, Me and You is the name of like the company with the QR code that's integrated with Automate. We've just recently brought in, they've got an app and it's called Crew. So all of our staff have it's just been very recent, so I'm still like trialing and tracking it, but all of the front of house staff have the Crew app on their phone. So we're just finding that line where we're not providing full table service. They can order QR code or welcome for us to take their order at the counter, but they have their phone in their back pocket with the Crew app. So it can also help us still maintain, if not increase, our average transactions by definitely getting another round of drinks or something like that for the table. Not necessarily, like I said, full tables, so, oh, what can I get for you, blah, blah, blah. But if you see people drinking or they're about to head off, would you like a coffee? Oh, we're gonna go, I can order a takeaway one, it'll be over here in a couple of minutes. And they order it on, like, via the staff member's phone, and they tap and pay on their phone. The phone is set up exactly the same as the QR code on the table, but you're still getting those extra, like, upsells, I'm gonna say. Hours of trade. When we first opened, we even did trials at 4 p.m. actually. We went from 4 to 3 to 2. 2 o'clock sounds very early. It was hard for us to get our head around it, being from Melbourne. Like, you want a steak, you can go out at midnight, doesn't matter. And so we moved that just by looking at what our revenue was within those from 2 to 4, from 2 to 3, and then realised 2 o'clock was justified. We're not turning people away at the door, like that's it. So that's also helped because you've got like chefs, because we've got a full menu. So chefs in the kitchen, there could be 2 or 3 depending on the day of the week. Barista, floor staff, so that helped reduce our labour, and we weren't making that extra revenue in that hour or 2 hours. And the Moose has been amazing. This is the first place I've worked. I manage here, but I've had my own cafes before, and I've never had them worked with the Perfect Moose. Do you know what I'm talking? So it steams the milk by itself, like it's just like a literal steam wand, like that's automated and set up to like have the right milks, alternative milk, flat white latte. It's programmed like for the texturing. So on weekends we standardly would have 3 baristas on, so someone milk, dine in, someone shots, and then we've got the takeaway person because we've got a takeaway window there. And okay, on the weekend we have the third person, but they also serve at the window. So they do takeaway because they've got the mousse is already steaming their milk. They take orders at the window, pour the milk, pour the coffees out. And weekdays, it's one person on the machine because they'll use the mousse and do a takeaway coffee at the same time that they're doing dine-in. I felt that I would never change it. If I was to move forward, whether I like with Cam and Jill moving forward with Winey, if there was another business, that's a no-brainer for sure.
Yep. Yeah. Like, no, it definitely is. And like, so on milk devices, there's like about 5 different versions out there in the marketplace. Yeah, there's the Wally from Lamazocco, there's the Moose, there's Milk It, there's and then there's the Uber, and then there's the Bellissimo that's just come out as well. So, coming.
Can I ask a quick question about the QR codes? How many, what was the percentage of people that you think roughly that use that, utilise that first?
As opposed to going out, it's at the higher side, more like 70%, surprisingly. And you got to think, no, it just, we are really like staff training really about that, you know, and just out the way, because you got to, Main Beat's demographic is like an older demographic, so it was a nervy time. Like, guys, make sure when we've got the staff that we're not, you know, we didn't want to buck the system or anything. And initially there was a couple people, oh, you're not taking our order anymore, but do you know what? A week, 2 weeks, that passed. We have our regulars, I mean, that come here 7 days a week, like you all would have that, you know, person. And we all know, you guys that are working know, Warren sits on table 11, has a long black cold milk on the side. He walks in and we just put the order through. But like, there's a handful of those people. And you know, it's actually really surprising. Like I said, we have an older demographic here. How many people are quite excited, like, I'm on to this now, got it, I've already done my order. Like, because I'll be like, oh, do you want me to pop it through? They're like, nah, we're on it, you know, and that's really good. No, we didn't have a backlash. There was like a crossover period, but not any.
They're always changing.
That's exactly right.
Is there a surcharge on the?
I was going to ask that. You could put that on.
That's the surcharge is
I think
just
it's on the next slide,
through our FPOS,
No,
but no, not for me and you.
We'll cover that in a
What system do you use?
But our point of sale, Automate. Yeah, Automate, and Ulio is our FPOS, which is integrated with Automate. They've like paired up now. And me and you is integrated with that. They do work with other point of sales, but I'm not sure off the top of my head.
Do you use a Square or?
No, the Automate is the POS system.
Square does do it.
Square does do it.
We're on Square now.
Square, and we've got
That's right.
we've got some Square figures coming up in a minute on how all this works, and what you can negotiate.
Can I say that I managed to reduce my labour costs by 8 or 9%?
Wow, that's a lot.
I know we had no choice. By taking emotion out of it completely, where I was like giving hours to my staff because I love them so much.
Yeah.
Like I had to be like, no, we don't need you.
Yeah.
And I swapped around adults to juniors in the kitchen. So now we've got a lot of school kids in the kitchen, not baking, but doing the dishes, making sandwiches, and oh my gosh, dropped our wages so much.
Because on reducing labour costs, this wasn't up there, but I'm glad you said that, and this is something I spoke to James about earlier about bringing up. School-based trainees. Has anyone had any experience with that? School-based trainees? So this is where they sign up to you for 18 months through a training organisation. You've got them for 18 months. They come in 1 day a week as part of their schooling. You used to, they've canned that. Oh, okay, well, good on you. But the training organisation we reached out to do it said no, the government stopped that. But you still get them on a Wednesday all day for $17 an hour versus $31 an hour. So it's called school-based trainees. Obviously,
You've got to work at it though.
You do have to work at it because you're getting.
If hiring a normal staff, you have to go. My job is to make this person understand what work is.
Yeah.
You can't go, I'm hiring an employee. It's not an employee. They don't understand.
And they need a lot of encouragement and a lot of training.
Yeah.
Tell them they're doing things right.
But it drops the dollar amount heaps.
I've heard that about TAFE.
Yeah, it was similar sort of thing to that.
The government gives you like, I don't know, 10K at the end.
Yeah. So anyway, so it's one way.
Still just advertising for juniors. In general. We've got Lacey is 16 now, Lace. Yeah, started
Here's
with
one
us at 40.
Here's one we prepared earlier.
But no, but yeah, exactly. And I will proudly say that. But do you know what? There's like, yes, they are a lesser rate of pay, but you can also train them your way. She's a rock star. This one's a barista, does the juice bar and the floor, and works functions at night. Like, I get nervous asking her mum and dad if I work her too much. But you know, there's, always pluses as well. Yeah. All right.
So I think we've talked a little about this.
This is a good one.
Menu design. Yeah, that was you.
Yeah, menu design is something like this is Cam in particular has the bottom say. He's a director of Winey, and when he designs the menu, it's outlaid to see that your most profitable dish is like at the top. And it doesn't mean percentage, it's like dollar wise, that like, you know, so you're not putting like your serving of toast for $12 at the very top and then going down to expensive. You're getting them to see this dish first. It's just more of a mental thing, like, and how people work. They see the cheap item and then they'll go for that straight away. But if it's further down, they've read through so many delicious, amazing, then they stop to worry about the price and go, no, I do want that chicken and waffles. I'm going to pay $30 for it. That's what I mentioned, I think, a bit earlier. We change the menu every 6 months. I touched on that earlier, basically to see that we're in check with seasonal produce and the pricing. Add-ons, that again is staff training. We call them experience enhancements to see that people, and we've got like everybody has it emailed to them, and we've got it at the front point of sale system, what your offer, your add-ons, without training the staff to be car salesmen, but it's there for their to have a look at it. Smashed avocado, would you like bacon with that? We do a brunch stack, and you can order it with bacon, mushroom, or both. So if you word it, like, it's called a bacon brunch stack. So if you just say, yeah, sure, of course that's all you're going to sell. If you want both, we get an extra $7. And then that's where I just quickly grabbed this before our meeting. And it's just another initiative that we use that I've put together, and it's bingo. It's not for everyone. We are constant on working on like our staff training and obviously looking at our revenue and our spend. This is basically the staff all have their own sheet laminated. They use the whiteout texture, and it grows monthly, and so they can check off large glass of wine. So we do small and large glass. Someone says I'd like a glass of rosé. Would you like a large? Most people say yes. Who doesn't love alcohol? And and like if anyone says flat white, would you like a mug? Like, yes, we do, don't instantly just say, do you want the small one? Like, and as soon as whoever checks this off, whichever staff member gets all of that, they call bingo and they win for the month, and our incentive is a $50 gift voucher. It's just like, and $50 when they've already made you that $50 by getting those experience enhancements. So that's just another idea that works quite well. Something to do there.
It is very, very hard to get staff to upsell at the time.
Yeah.
Very hard.
But once staff training never ends. You don't implement your structure and your culture and go, cool, done. It's endless. Like, that's what it constantly is. We just had a staff meeting the other week. We have our sequence of service. I changed that to adapt to the QR code. To the crew app is now built into the sequence of service. We have these training models put in place, and if people aren't following it, we will hold them accountable and say, sorry chick, like, that's my wording, like, I seen you at the till before, just remember, ask them if they want the mug. It's easy. And once some people, it can be shy as well, but once they start doing it, they become used to it, and that is all on your revenue. All right, I was told my boss told me, you be careful because they're going to tell you to wrap it up. Do weekly and monthly specials is another, someone sees it as a special. So, you can sometimes, because it is a special item, it can be a little bit more. And we do monthly specials. For this, I think it's great to, obviously you can have a bit of a markup on it, but we also use it to gauge, could that be a potential new menu item? So we do food and a meal special, and they're on every table for every month. how often do you cost do your dishes? I said that before. The executive chef has a food cost calculator and does that every 3 months, reports back, and that, again, sharing information. That comes to me. What's my job role? Head of sales and marketing manager. But I get all of that information. So does the manager down in Mornington and our head chef here as well. Suppliers, this is really, really good. We review all of our suppliers, and it doesn't just mean your food and beverage. Like, that obviously includes, I've just changed over our pest control. Got that changed because obviously I got comparative quotes, 4 quotes. We got a good price and a good servicing. And down in Melbourne, that's what I was going to say, when they changed, they looked at their oil supplier and saved, it was $9,000 a year.
Nine.
Yeah. Yeah, 9.
Yeah, 9.
Nine.
I thought you said 90. I was like,
no, it's right here. I'm
What
yeah,
oil were you
$9,000. Yeah. So yeah, the tea towels there. I've just put some notes here as well. Pest control and sanitary as well. Like, there's a lot of those. They're high cost. So if you review it, and then sometimes, like, you can negotiate better prices as well. Also, obviously, if you use, like, true, but using suppliers against each other. We use, say, Bid Food and Moco. We went to Moco, it's in here as well, went to Moco and was like, here's literally our price list from Bid Food.
Yeah.
Like, match it or do better. And it was just like, look at that outcome, 90%, 95% it was. And our milk prices, we negotiated that like over a 2-week period, and they just played off against it. We can do it at this much. And I was like, well, they can do it at that much. They can do it that much. Sold to the man in red. So that's that one. And that's, again, your 1%ers that add up. For example, that $9,000 a year on oil.
Yeah. And I think on that, it's like, you should always get additional quotes on things, and there's nothing wrong with staying with that person that is that local supplier that you really care. But it's okay to tell them as well that, like, you're not competitive. You know, like, you need to do better. And, you know, we've had lifelong relationships with certain suppliers, and when you make them aware of it, they're like, either they knew it and they were being a bit naughty, or they're aware of it, or they weren't aware of it, and they're like, oh, okay, well, we're getting outpriced on something, you know, okay. Then obviously nobody really likes to be able to have to drop their price, but they'd always usually like to hang on to you more than lose it, unless it doesn't work for them financially. So
can I just quickly touch on that, just to make sure I'm representing Winey correctly as well? We are very much about our suppliers too. When we do negotiate, we would never ditch a supplier without contacting them and say, listen, this is the reason for it, or I came to you and I didn't have any feedback, so this is why I've moved. We don't just go, you know, we're out for ourselves. We that's a rule. We have to call out suppliers.
Talked about this, so
that
was good.
We talked about the bingo.
Bingo.
Google
Google reviews as well. Like, so we like have QR codes printed in the store, like for our staff to have them on hand. And basically, Keely's got an example just here, Winey Cow, and that's our QR code, and her name is on it. That's her permanent card. So I track that monthly, and every month, at the start of every month, put out like on our Facebook, our work Facebook group, who's got however many, and they're 5-star Google reviews. So if you've had a great time today, could you leave a 5-star review for us? And if you mention my name, I get $5. So every time a staff member's name's mentioned throughout that month, their incentive is we give them $5, and then that increases our Google reviews, which obviously just boosts, you know, everybody, your business. It puts you up at the top when you're doing Google searches. So incentives for staff.
And one thing I want to touch on this, and we've had QR codes in, you know, our Paradox Cafe for a while now, but one thing we noticed when we implemented it was people adding sides went crazy, because the QR code prompts you to add a side. When you add a bacon and roll, it just says, do you want to add avo and all these things? And people ordering second coffees went up big time, because they would see the line at the till and think, I don't have time to get up and line up, or no one's come back to my table but yet, but if the QR code's there, bang, they would do it. Yeah, so that's what we definitely noticed, especially sides. Sides was the big one, that went right up. Yeah, actually, and tips went right up, because it prompts you to add a tip. So, I mean,
and also with our QR code, me and you, it gives an option to leave a review on that. And Jade, she's back in Melbourne, she's a bit more technical than me, but she's set it up that if they leave a 5-star review, it instantly flicks them over to our Google reviews, which is fab. Yeah.
Yeah.
One thing I wanted to add on that, using the app, the QR codes, is just you guys are great at it. Like you don't come in here and not have any engagement. At times, I or everybody else here has been to a venue and the only interaction is when you say hi and bye, right? And your food sitting there for ages or your plates are sitting there for ages. Like it's a useful tool, but it's just like you guys have done. That's enough training to just constantly
Sequence of service. Extremely important. It's the industry we work in. If you drop that, why do people want to come out? They may as well get Uber at home, really. Like, you know, if you're not providing that service. Yeah.
And I think you've already spoke about the crew up.
Yeah.
I thought the putting the A-frame out near the beach where people get the QR code.
We got in trouble. We got told off a few times before I was like, better get rid of that. We were cancelled. Yeah. We had the A-frame with our QR code, which we have out there daily, and we had a padlock and everything. We were all over it, and every morning when they'd open, we'd go over to the beach and put. Oh no, not that one. Anyway, there's a Paradox one that has our QR code for our takeaway menu, and it was at the beach. And a couple of times the council mentioned it, and I was like, oh, sorry about that. And then they were like, this is going to go. You're going to get a fine. I was like, Cam, I'm not going to put it there anymore.
But people were ordering like their whole lunch. They'd just be like, oh, cool. We'll
because they go to the beach and order it on the QR code. And we've got like a tablet at our takeaway window that just, you go, John Smith, ready for pickup. They get a text message and walk to the window and go, I just got a message. And we're like, yep, there you go.
On their feet.
True. I'm sure in this like $5 million property across the road here, we probably would too.
So this is just some numbers around
QR codes.
The QR codes.
So 2.2, remembering that that includes your credit card fee as well. So take 1.4 off that.
Yeah, I don't know what everyone else is paying, and I know, Rochelle, we've had conversations about this. Right, because it's a bit of game of smoke and mirrors. You've got Square or Lightspeed, whatever you use, and then they always outsource it to another company like me and you or Grazer. So you've got to pay Square's fee plus the other third party's fee, and they don't really tell you that up front. But you can get it down, and 2.2 I think is, unless you're turning over $4 or $5 million, is probably about as good as it gets. So that's from the order at the counter, order at the table. Off the QR code, and we pass that on. If they come to the counter, it's 1.6, and we still pass that on.
It's the same as Uber. Like
100%.
30% on.
Yep. Which.
I'm not going to pay.
No.
Profits.
No.
And as we were saying before, Tash was saying, like, when people sit down, come into Paradox and they sit down and they have the QR codes, like, what's the percentage of people then getting up and coming to the counter? You would say it's 80% or still order at the table, 20% might come.
Even though we've taken the paper menus.
Yeah, menus, got water. Yeah.
Except me, because I know I pay more on the QR code.
Yes. Well, and look, there are a few people that do that, and that's okay. Or they'll pay cash. All good.
Yeah, we just said that. So, like, if you think about it, you're probably saving about 40 to 60% of a front of house employee, which is about $30,000 or $40,000 a year. That's a lot of money, right? So if you're trying to get your wages down.
I ran stats on it just a month ago. Yeah.
Big thing is, great photography.
Yeah.
Please, just spend the $1,000 and get a great photographer and do it properly. Talk to this man. Yeah. Just here.
Yeah.
Here you go. But seriously, like the number of people that have bad Uber and bad QR, people buy with their eyes. They're like looking at this, oh, that looks delicious. You know, we've now all become the Chinese restaurant, right? They used to line up and there was pictures everywhere. So just do it properly. So we, in some ways, if sometimes the team can do a pretty good job of if we change an item, then that's fine. But where we've done the whole menu, we'll get a photographer in and do it properly. It's just too risky that people might go, the light, like if it reflects the wrong way and the bacon looks orange, or whatever. The other thing is we were talking about before. What do you do if items go up, like eggs went up, avocados go up? With this, like we lived in the early years of cafe world, we would never change anything because what a hassle to go and print the menus again. Gee, that's a lot of work. We've got to go to office work, we've got to laminate, like whatever. But it does take a lot of work, right, when you're running a day. But this, you're like, change it now. Get rid of that off the menu now. And you're like, boom, boom, it's off, it's gone. Or change the price, bang, bang, done. So now your paper menu might not align, but like if 80% of people are ordering, then you're in a good place, right? So, one thing I might say, maybe, and this group might not feel this way, but I do talk to a lot of cafe owners that go, I'm not on Uber because I don't want those people ordering via Uber rather than coming to my cafe. As an avid Uber orderer, and my family does way too much of it, I was never ever planning to come to your cafe. No. I was always sitting at home. If I plan to go to a cafe, I'm going to a cafe. Now maybe occasionally, but if you said it's like 2 out of 10, what you're really saying is that you're happy to give up 8 sales because you thought that process, right? So, and when you think that, if you think I was never going to get that revenue anyway, then you suddenly, that 33% that Uber charges doesn't actually seem like that big an amount, right? I'm not saying don't jack your prices if you want to, but if you don't because you think you will get more sales out of Uber because of it, then you have to almost look at that your labour costs, you've got to take your cost of goods out because they're getting that, but you can almost take your labour costs out of it and your rent costs out of it, and you can say it's a pure, I wasn't going to get that money anyway, right? Because if I'm not on Uber, I wasn't going to get it. Now, I'm not saying to you don't put the percentage up. The question for you is it 10%, is it 20%, or is it 30%? So you just got to work out is like, and this is the good thing about Uber, you can play with it, right? You could test it for a month and go, I ran it at 30% and then I dropped it to 20%. Some people do scroll around. As a person that uses Uber all the time, I'll tell you, like, so Betty's Burgers and Mary's, right? I can tell that Mary's is jacked at 30, they're at $28 for a burger, whereas Mary's is just, Betty's is not, and they're at 18. I like Mary's more, but am I going to pay $10 more per burger? I'm not sure. So I do now because I think they're better burgers. Sorry, Betty's. But so you've just got to play with that percentage to see. And if you don't think you're going to get an extra couple of grand out of it, then don't worry about it. Just jack at 30. So that's where I sit with it. But yeah, I mean, when you run your percentages and you take your cost of goods out of it, you're still looking that you're going to make. And that's just like if you're making $5 grand a month out of Uber, like $34,000, So we sort of already talked about this, but if anyone's not on charging FPOS fees, I'm really sorry. It wasn't my choice that everybody decided to go to cashless society. So I'm sorry, I can't cover your costs on it. So either I have to put the price of all my items up to cover it, or I'm just going to charge a percentage on it, right? And I want to look somewhat competitive, so it costs you more to use a credit card. It costs you more to go to a teller that's not Commonwealth. So why am I paying more? So 15 grand per year. Wow, right? It's a lot of money. Now this is one for the Gold Coast, because almost no one does surcharges on weekends. Public holiday. You guys are big on public holiday.
Yeah.
You should talk to that percentage.
We're 20%. Yeah, on public holidays.
17, 15?
I think we're 15. No,
get it up. Come on, really?
Get it up. Yeah, again, we are one of very few countries in the world, and I have no problem, like if they've made an employment decision to say that staff should be paid more because they should have had the day off, I'm fine with it. I don't have a problem with it whatsoever, but I've got to pass it on. I can't, otherwise I'm not going to open and then you don't get to come to the cafe. You know, so it's your choice. So don't get upset with me, you know.
You still have to make so much more because even 20% doesn't
cover
cover
it.
Doesn't.
No. And that's where you got to make a
10 definitely
decision.
doesn't. 15 definitely not. 20.
Yeah. So we went through a season that we just closed every public holiday, decided that actually staff needed a break. And actually a lot of people on Gold Coast started doing that a lot.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's coming back. And I think it's partly because people need the revenue. They need the money.
Because it costs you money to close for the day still.
Yeah.
You've still got to pay rent, still
Of
got to pay wages,
course.
still got to pay electricity.
How you strategize opening that day so they pick up the customer clientele from the cafe
Friday closed.
Sure. Go to your venue whilst also not losing them the other way around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, and then
We do takeaway only, like, so for safe dishes,
Yeah.
takeaway as well, and clearing up and things like that. They can sit and still have
but
their
it all comes in.
takeaway.
Take away. That's it.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Do we got, have we got
And
the-
weekend
Weekend-
surcharges.
Let's
Weekend
talk.
surcharge.
Yeah, weekend surcharge. So, how many people do weekend surcharge? No one.
We're waiting for everyone else to.
But that's where
Yeah.
we need to do it, grouped
So
together.
we tested it. We tested it. So, how long are we doing it? Yeah.
Yeah, they
I'd
do.
say
We
we're
don't.
14
Yeah.
weeks now. About that.
Yeah.
We do now, for the last 14 weeks. Now, look, when I say we've done this, I'm very aware that we are being in Surfers Paradise on the weekends. It is very touristy. I'm very aware of that. So I'm not sitting here saying if you're not doing Saturdays and Sundays, you guys are crazy and what are you doing? I'm very aware that we are in a very touristy area, and we do both days. But you know, I know a lot of your cafes are in more of a local-based area, so you might only decide to do the Sunday and not the Saturday, and that's obviously totally your choice. And I can understand your logic for doing that. But it has got to the point now, as I'm sure all of you are aware, that it is just crazy now on the weekends. You're basically opening for free.
As a customer too, I know when I've gone out and I get somewhere and I'm deciding what I'm getting,
Yeah.
and I get there and they're like 50%, I'm like, fuck.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
You-
people that are going to be like, oh, I'm not spending that much money, but in hindsight, you're going to still get the same
Now,
customer base.
we've been doing it for 14 weeks, Tash. How many actual complaints have we had? Like an actual complaint?
No, maybe one. A few comments.
Comments, yeah.
But same thing. You talk to them about it, and they're like, okay, I understand.
Yeah, we've printed off a sheet at the till to say this is to staff, this is what you say to customers when someone comments or complains. Everyone here is getting paid accordingly. Everyone here is getting paid the correct super, the correct wage. We're really sorry we've had to do this, but it's just what we have to do to stay in business and keep our doors open.
The irony for us with Winey, so Melbourne, like, I don't remember them not being a surcharge on weekends. That's just, it's so funny, different states that are so close to each other and demographic. And Winey in Melbourne always has, and we don't here. We're wanting to implement it, but we're just, we're getting there. It will be on the next menu change in June though. It is, we're doing it.
And one other cafe on the Gold Coast. You might know of others, but I only know of one other that does it.
I know Red Hot Cod does.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Restaurants, sure, but I know actual cafes, I only know of one other that doesn't.
Yeah.
And I said, we've had one complaint in 14 weeks, and I'll take that complaint every day of the week because the numbers are here. Previous slide.
Yeah, so that's your monthly increase of 3,500, and that's not top line. That's bottom line.
In your pocket.
And this is based on you doing, on average, so a cafe that might do 5 grand Saturday, Sundays. Obviously, it's different for everyone, but that's how much extra. Actually, said James goes bottom line, 10% both days. Bottom line straight in your pocket. And where we live in a world where everyone taps, orders off the QR code.
Where we are in South for people, it's not like a regular suburb. So.
Also, you've got the advantage. You said on Sundays, you're one of the only cafes open. So I think you're in a very privileged position there, where you're like, well,
Yeah, look, we just, as I said, we're one of very few countries in the world that require us to pay higher amounts. It's kind of like, why should you take that out of your pocket?
I think about this all the time, and Finn said this to me when we were talking about weekend surcharges a couple of weeks ago, and I now think about it all the time. He said, if I call a plumber or an electrician or a locksmith out in the weekend, they pass that on to me. I get slammed with that surcharge. So why, as we as an industry in hospitality, why do we absorb that? No other industry would do that. They would pass that on to you.
And the scary thing is when you turn this from net to rev. So if you tried to make this up per week, you need to do 5,400 more per week to make up the surcharge.
If you
right?
weren't doing it.
So if you tried to go, well, I'm just going to sell more, okay.
To get my extra $42,000.
Like I've had
Sorry.
cafes that have grown, but growing by $5,000 is a lot, you know. So takes some time to do it. So and you've got to make per annum $280,000 more, you know. So it's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money.
Where do you put your sign?
We put a sign, on the menus.
Yeah, it's written on the menus.
At the till, a little sign.
Yeah, we have
Pops up
so
on
the little screen that it comes up. It says right there before they pay. 10% weekend surcharge added on. Same with the QR codes. Says it right there.
Yeah, and one complaint. And yes, you work it, and then there might be a portion of people who don't come back, but that's okay. I'm still. Exactly, and that's what we're hoping about. You know, these nights are about that. Everyone gets together and go, well, if you're doing it and everyone else is doing it, then yeah, I'm going to do it because I don't.
I was going to do the Gold Coast, but there wasn't enough cafes.
Yeah, there's us and one other that I know of.
Doesn't convince you to do it.
But this is Sydney cafes just in the inner west, really. I think.
We decided to do a bit of a review on, and this is weekend surcharge. So they've gone for it. Like Sydney is now. So when we sold our cafe in Wallara, we tried to do weekend surcharges, and it's when the government brought in that rule that you weren't allowed to add percentage, so you had to change your menu. It was a pain in the butt. So you had to have a different menu for the weekend. That was a real pain in the neck. So, but even people noticed that, and people kick up a fuss. But now nobody's kicking up fusses. Yeah. They're like, and I think it's partly because of how they pay, and partly because people are understanding that cafes are under pressure. So, I think we've talked a lot
we have
of
talked
these.
a bit about that. Just more getting reviewing.
Utilities, could you get 2 to 4? You know, it makes up 2 to 4%. You know, what could you get out of it? Mortgages, packaging, advertising, insurance. We've talked to all those things. So, before we break to have some food, was there any other questions anybody had, or anything they want to share from the floor on anything you're doing? Because every time, I mean, I love what you guys. I don't know if you want to tell people, but I know about how closely you work with hotels around the area.
Oh yeah. I network with we have a lot of accommodation. We're fortunate with our location, so a lot of accommodation. A big part of my job is I've got on my to-do list this week to expand our free meal voucher partnerships. So I work with at the moment, I think that portfolio is maybe at it's close to 30, of all of the buildings around here. And I've got quite a generic email that I send out and introduce myself and Winey and just say accommodation is the most common, but I've also worked with the florist down there and new developers in new apartments. We have free meal vouchers, so I get the company's logo and pop it on our free meal vouchers to make it all nice and professional, get them printed and just get them printed at Officeworks, get them cut up. It's a part of the staff. I go take a picture, put it in our Facebook group and go, right guys, here's another 500 free meal vouchers. Can we have them cut and distributed by the end of the week as school holidays start? So people can come in. There needs to be 2 people dining in, and then they'll get the meal that's either equal or lesser value for free. So obviously it's introducing them to Winey, and they're also getting a free meal, particularly if they're on holidays and they enjoy our food and our service and our coffee. They will continue to come back out of 1 free meal. And that is large. We again ran stats on that for last year, and put it this way, because I'm speaking on behalf of somebody else's business, I probably won't go exact figures, but the net profit, taking out my labour to do it and all printing costs involved, more than covered my annual salary. That was from working with that, sending out emails, getting that, and now it's so generic. I literally have it all, in Canva. I push print, goes to Officeworks, or pretty much even the staff now do it. I send the download file to them on who needs top-ups. They'll go to Officeworks, get it printed, cut them, distribute them. My goal is now to, once I've just had a few other things on my list, but now I'm just going to expand that and start like looking at Bundle, Ashmore, Southport, just to try. It's obviously it's more often when people are closer, but like I also work with F45 in Ashmore as well, so they also give them to all of their new clients. Glow Glam, she does nails and eyelashes and things like that, but predominantly the holiday apartments is because they've got massive turnover. It's huge. Yeah, so.
One thing I just want to talk on back to the weekend surcharge, that since we've been doing that, and this is obviously thanks to Christine, our accountant, and because we've been talking cost of goods and making sure you're tracking your cost of goods and not letting it get away with you, we take that 10% that we charge out of our P&Ls, or we sort of have a separate line for it each month, so it doesn't get included in our revenue.
Otherwise you cheat.
Otherwise, you're then, the first month you do it, you'd be like, great, how good's our cost of good and how good's our wages? So this looks amazing. And then slowly what would happen is your wages and your cost of goods would start to creep back up, but they'd all sort of be within line of what you're probably happy with and go, this is great. And then all you've done is just gave that 10% back, or you've lost it. So you need just, if you start to do it and you're thinking about doing it, I know, Michelle, you guys are this close to pulling the trigger on doing it. But we make sure that 10% is separated in our P&L. So at the end of the month, we can go, okay, that's just a little bit of a, bonus on top, but we're working on the figure, we're working on our revenue that didn't include that. So we really know what our wages and our cost of goods are. It's pretty important. Otherwise, you would just give it up eventually.
Beautiful, guys. Thank you.
Any questions?
Is there any app anyone's using for costing menus?
Is there what, sorry?
Any app?
Menu calculator, we've used a few. No, I can find out which one we're exactly using. So I know we've not long changed. Mario's using, I've got it. I can email you details. Yeah,
we're good on it. So
yeah, for sure.
wondering with AI and everything, that's easy.
So I think there are a couple apps around, you've got to pay for them, obviously. I don't think they're much.
What's that other one called?
Fillet or something. There was one. It was called Fillet, I guess.
There's another app called. But you have to pay for it.
Yeah. And then again, your chef can just put in the quantities that they're putting in for each dish and what the price it costs, and it should just.
It does wastage as well.
Yeah, that's another important one. Yeah. So our cost of goods coffee calculator, there is a wastage tab for that as well. We can get your staff to track that, because we've all seen the barista who has a small coffee to make and uses the big jug and fills it right up and then tips it down the sink. Seen that a million times. Not a paradox.
Hopefully not.
But that's all those sort of.
Huge. That's why we talk about 1%, because when you translate that to annual, it's just incredible.
So one item, that bread, we got this commercial poster that we used to put bread in. But the chefs, they got too busy and too carried out. They couldn't really keep an eye on that, and most of the time they burn the bread. So we replaced it with a moving one.
Travel.
So we saw that the order of bread that used to, like, let's say,
Get out your wastage.
10,
Yeah.
it came to 8.
Wow.
Yeah.
And whatever I think I paid $550 for that.
Yeah.
Already in 2 months.
It's paid itself off, and that's why we say as well with suppliers and everything, and looking at those costs over an annual. If you just like shaving, one of our things was just reducing the amount of tea towels. Like sometimes that just goes unnoticed. We were getting our tea towel delivery every week, and we have a bag. I can't remember how many we get now, but it comes in the bag. And then one week we've got to store him upstairs. I went upstairs. I was like, why do we have a bag of tea towels here? And they're like, oh, that was from last week. And I was like, whoa. So let's pare that back. When we start running out, I'll find out why we're using too many, or if there's a public holiday coming up, or that like Easter's like several in a row, maybe I'll get an extra 20 that week. But that's it.
Max is a good one. I'm going to check about
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah.
We did that excuse me to keep that.
I was
Oh, Is there anyone else?
No, there is. No, there's a couple of little,
there?
there is a couple of little private guys.
Send them on.
There's a couple of little private guys running around doing it. Yeah.
Alfred's obviously like, you know, it gets Etsy, like, really cheap, it's like, holy shit, like,
Yeah.
They're the monopoly.
but I have seen on like the Gold Coast hospitality page someone else like saying that there are some other local businesses.
Right.
They may lack in, I don't know, they don't fold it if you want to fold it.
I can't remember, which I wouldn't want to say their name, but I used a more independent person in my last place. I had just a small cafe, but I went back to Alice. It was just more, it was easier. I'd call them and be like, our delivery hasn't come today. Oh, I don't know where John is. And I'm like, all right, well, let's get John here because I need some details. So like, I did switch over. I personally found it better and just more seamless and just pretty much watched my quantity to keep the prices for me personally anyway. Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Another thing I found is with the food costing is sometimes you've got a bestseller, like a really good seller, like maybe I don't have a really example, like maybe a big Nutella croissant or
Yeah.
whatever, and it's probably like your top seller. But actually, if you go and food cost it, sometimes that margin is so low that you actually need to remove your
Yeah.
bestseller
Yeah.
from your menu.
Well, this is why I'll talk to coffee. When you do that cost of goods calculator, everyone who does a 16-ounce coffee will know that's, you know, a big seller, but it's actually you make the less money on it. You believe if you're not charging enough, and most people aren't charging more than $6.50, you actually think it always sits around 69 or 70% GP. When your 6-ounce will always sit at about 85, 86. Yeah. But you don't.
But you do bank dollars.
Yes, you do. It's more dollars, but the percentage is there. But yeah.
Make 5 out of your 16.
I'm interested to know how much of our milk goes to waste. I'm going to
Heaps.
start asking
Well,
our to fill
our
it.
wastage calculator.
It has to be written up daily as well.
Yeah, our wastage calculator that's in that spreadsheet that we had up before, what the staff have to do then over a course of a week, rather than pouring the milk down the jug rinser like they all do, there has to be an empty bottle to the side. They pour it into that. So at the end of the day, you can either just look at it and go, well, that's 5 litres, or weigh it. And then whoever's a restaurant was that day, it's just like...
It's awareness as well. Our roasters do that daily. We've got all of our milk jugs there with
And we do this...
like whatever's left over, and we ask, why was there so much?
Yeah, and same with coffee shots and coffee grinds. They're not to pour them down the sink or knock them into the bin. That's to be kept in a bucket off to the side, and that gets weighed at the end of the day, and then you track that over a week. It's all in there. Yeah.
Most staff don't want to be bad people.
No.
They just don't know.
Just
Like,
awareness.
It's just like awareness. Like they're not trying to be wasteful.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to be 5 litres at the end of the day, which is then going to be $20 or $30, and then you add that up over the whole year, and all of a sudden there's your 1%er.
Yeah.